Hey Torchwood, I have a new episode of the old 52. Now obviously I'm influenced by DC's new 52. Celebrating new number ones, yay. But do you know there were previous number ones of other books? Can you believe it? Yeah, this isn't the first time it's happened. Marvel and DC have been really addicted to this whole renumbering thing. So there's a whole bunch of old number ones out there that people really cared about when they first came out, but now, whatever. So I want to bring some attention to some of them. 52 to be exact. Haha. Well, and it has to be a defunct book. I can't talk about Spawn number one because Spawn's still going on. But this week's episode, is Thor number one by Dan Jurgens and John Romita Jr. Now, quick explanation. This is the first Thor number one after the Heroes Reborn, Heroes Return thing. And oh boy, what a long fucking story. You know, I'm not even going to get into it, but it was a long mess. But I will say, it's interesting now to see how low the regular Marvel Universe, the Avengers characters, all sunk during the 90s. Because all Marvel cared about, really, was the X-Men and Spider-Man. And they barely could give a fuck about, well, at least it seemed like they could barely care about what was basically their flagship characters at the beginning. And that the Marvel Universe, revolved around them. But now they were kind of on the outside, which is weird. And they literally were on the outside when they gave all these books to Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld to mess around with for a year, and had very mixed results. Therefore, they came back. Then Heroes Return, and they all got new number ones. Unfortunately, I wish, like many, that they had started, not just started, they would have, just continued with their old numbering, but they did not, because hey, people love these number one things. They're obviously too stupid to, just pick up the next book. So, here we go. This is Thor number one, and this was Thor's journey back. And he had been gone for about a year because of this whole onslaught thing. But he's discovered that Asgard has been destroyed and everybody's missing. Now, this is one of their gatefold previously menus or something like that. Marvel used to do this a lot during the 90s. Sometimes it would be just a page like this, and sometimes it would be this big floppy fold-out thing, which, to be honest, I thought was kind of annoying sometimes. But they are very helpful. I mean, they tell you all about Thor right here, and the cast right here, like Hemdahl and Jane Foster, and some of the other characters we'll be seeing. Marvel was doing this for a while, and they actually were pretty helpful. And including, hey, bringing you up to speed. Hey, we had this onslaught thing, and now he's back, and hey, Asgard's destroyed. So, where are we now? Look at this. I can't even barely fucking mess with this now. Thank God they stopped doing that. Anyway, the book opens up with a hostage situation, of all things, in New York City, a daycare center, where this guy who claims to be a Norse god is keeping everybody hostage in the daycare center, threatening to kill all these children unless he gets to talk to Thor. Well, Thor obviously shows up, and he quickly gets him, and he claims to be Hemdahl, the guy who is in charge of, the road to Asgard, which obviously surprises Thor. It's like, well, you're not a big child killer, so what could have happened? So Thor's told this guy's crazy, but to see for himself, because frankly, Asgard's gone, and he's claiming Loki turned him into this, and this was a desperate move. So Thor basically goes, you know what? Well, all right, let's see. So he takes him to Asgard. Meanwhile, paramedic Jake Olsen, excuse me, is getting in close to the action a couple of times. We'll see him more during this series. Anyway, Thor takes the guy to Asgard, while we got some subplot stuff going on here, to show him how decimated it is. And the guy kind of just snaps out of it. So yeah, he was a crazy person. But it is a really well done scene here where Thor kind of explains his feelings about what has happened and his confusion and his frustration. And, he's kind of mourning, but he's not sure how much he should mourn. I mean, is things going on? Can he still bring this back? Or is it gone and he just doesn't realize it? It's a really nice little scene here. And despite the fact that this guy's a dangerous nut, Thor treats him like a person, which I think is really nice, actually. And he's very merciful with him here and very sympathetic. Meanwhile, more of Jake Olsen, and he's talking with his girlfriend. And we get to see, okay, yeah, he's got a girlfriend he's about to marry, and stuff like that. And we also see Jane Foster from the Thor movie. Hey, this is another thing. I'll get to that. But, let's see, he drops off the Psycho to, Jane Foster, who's a doctor now at a hospital. And then Jane informs him, like, hey, the Avengers are fighting this thing over at the docks. And so he runs, and it's the Destroyer. That suit created by Odin, but it always seems to get in the hands of humans. Good one, Odin. And the Avengers do battle with it. And, of course, the Destroyer suit is, like, extremely powerful and kicks the shit out of all of them during this huge kind of epic battle. Meanwhile, Jake Olsen, the paramedic, is trying to get people out of a car. At the same time, Thor is bringing up a huge storm in order to combat the thing. Jake is hit by some shrapnel and looks like he's down. At the same time, Thor is being smashed by the Destroyer and blasted. So it looks like he is dead, and he is dead. Hey, the series is over. No, I'm just kidding. This is what they did. They wanted to sort of create a similar situation that they had originally with Donald Blake, but not use Donald Blake. So, essentially, Jake's killed, and Thor is sort of punished in a sort of way, like it was partly his fault because he died during that battle, although not really. But he is placed in the body of Jake, and he turns into Thor, his body of Thor. I hate saying stuff like that because he's not a superhero. He's a guy. He's Thor. That's not his fake-up name. Whatever. But anyway, it's sort of similar to the Donald Blake thing. Now, this, of course, is not what they're doing anymore. I didn't read the entire series, so I never really heard what happened with the whole Jake Olsen thing. But I'm actually glad they didn't bring back Donald Blake. I was never a big fan of the Donald Blake thing. Nowadays, it seems like Thor is just Thor, and I prefer it that way. It just works for me better. And the art is by John Romita Jr., and turning out some really impressive work here. He, as usual, does the great mix of fantasy and reality. And Dan Jurgens, I think this was the first big Marvel book he did after his run on Superman, and he just does just a marvelous job. I just really enjoy the complex character work he does here, and you really do get the feeling of Thor being a real person. Also, you know what? If you watch that Thor movie and haven't really read much in Thor, this is actually not a bad place to start, oddly enough, because this came out in like '97. But mainly the characters that appear in the Thor movie, like Heimdall, not really, but Heimdall, Jane Foster is here, and the Destroyer. So there's a lot to love with this. This is not a bad series. I bought this for quite a few issues until I forgot why I stopped buying it. I'm not sure why. But I remember enjoying the series for quite a bit. So I do recommend checking this out, as well as some of the other episodes of my old 52. Until next week, push the button, Lindsay.